Good morning. Hi, I'm Phil Grady at philsgang.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel and, of course, my radio show, philsgang.com. So, last week, we had this big rally because of the GDP and because of the PCE number. We had an 800-point rally on Friday in which everybody went nuts because the market went up 800 points because of the PCE number, because the PCE number identifies how much things are going up in price. And the Fed loves it because they leave out food and energy. Isn't that stupid? That's pretty stupid. So that's what they did. So last week they said prices only went up 0.5%. That's it, 0.5%. What are you, nuts? I don't know where they shop. And that's why the market exploded 800 points. Now you got to understand something else is going on. The Nasdaq, remember, only went up 5% or 2% last week, where during the week, let's take the weekly numbers last week, the S&P went up, or the Dow went up 5.9, the S&P up 3.1%, IWM, Russell, went up 11%, and the Nasdaq went up, I think, was just about 2%. Because why? Because nobody is buying big tech stocks anymore. Nobody's buying, everybody wants value stocks, not growth stocks. So, but for the month, remember the Dow went up 14%, the S&P 9%, IWM 11%, and the Nasdaq 5%. But they're celebrating that. Nobody brought up the point that even though the Dow went up 14% and the biggest month ever, and they're all celebrating and having parties, and I think they're hiring a band and going to have a parade on down on Fifth Avenue. I don't know, but what they don't tell you is the Dow is still in the hole 11%. The S&P is still in the hole 9%. The Nasdaq's in the hole 25%, for God's sakes. No, I'm sorry. Nasdaq's in the hole 31%. Now, nobody wanted to mention that. And also nobody wanted to mention how was it that the PCE number, they came out, inflation only went up 0.5% over a month period? That's 0.5%. I don't know where they're shopping. Well, here's the catch to that. Remember who's the head of the Commerce Department? Remember who the Commerce Secretary is? Her name is Raimondo. She was the former Democrat Republican governor of Rhode Island. Biden appointed her as Treasury of the Commerce Department. So you don't think for one moment Biden picked up the phone and said, God, we're getting killed in the elections. We're only about a week and a half out. You've got to give me a good number. You don't think he would do that gangster? Of course he did. So everything that you heard and saw last week, just forget about it, okay? Forget about it. Here's what you want to know. Look at my chart right here. First of all, when the market went down, the S&P went down 23%, right? When the S&P dropped that 23%, it should have gone down another 30% or at least 20%. Why? Because the valuations of these stocks, the S&P stocks, S&P 500, are too high, way too high, nosebleed levels. So to get a fair value of stocks, this thing should have dropped. And I keep telling you, that's why I think we're going to go down another 20%, because these valuations are insane. Their job right now is just as I told you, going into earnings season, we always buy the S&P because they always rig the numbers back up to the top of the range here. And remember, every time they did it, okay, it failed. Every time they did it, it failed. Every time it failed. And this one should fail too. The only way they can break out of this range, remember how they broke out right here in 2020 and broke out here in 2018, and they're not breaking out here after 42 weeks? Remember, it only took 4.5 weeks in 2020 to break out. It only took, I think it was 11 weeks in 2018 to break out. 42 weeks, and we're not breaking out. Why? Because, again, there's no QE. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to rally, and then it will fail. I think once it hits its peak, she'll come back down. I think she'll go down another 20% because the valuations are too high. And that's why it's important for you to learn how to short. So why don't you just go to my YouTube channel every day like you do to find out what the market's going to do. And I'm telling you, But why don't you go to my website, philsgang.com, sign up for 10 days, hit where it says get started, sign up to the Working Investor Group, and for 10 days learn how to sell short. Now, if they rig the market to break out like they did in 2018 and 2020, that means they're going to have to do the QE again. Well, if they do the QE, fine. We'll make money on the breakout. The only thing that will happen is the country will go into a depression because inflation will keep soaring. But right now, the market's on its way up. We'll get a little, probably next couple of days, we'll get a little sell-off, but then they're going to continue rallying this market right up, I believe, into the election, okay? Check out my site, philsgang.com. Sign up 10 days free. I'll see you on the charts. Learn how to sell short.